and welcome to Strangers Stopping Strangers. This is podcast number 12. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to anyone who's returning, and thanks for stopping in for anyone who's new. I took last week off, had a little summer break, and back this week with a fantastic podcast, an amazing guest. Meeting with Michael Sheridan. We actually met in person at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center Dead & Company show this past June. We chilled out together for the second half of the show and kept in touch, and I'm really excited to have him on today's podcast. His stories are just so interesting and cool, and really just the quintessential Deadhead experience, and I loved hearing them, and I'm sure you will too. We're also going to have Fare Thee Well, from June 27th, 2015. So this is a new incarnation of the band for Strangers Stopping Strangers. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to send me a message or a comment. Let me know if you like what you're hearing or have any suggestions for different podcasts. I'm making this for you guys and want to make sure everyone is getting to hear what they're tuning in for. So thanks again and enjoy the podcast. Well, welcome, Michael, to Strangers Stopping Strangers. Thank you for joining.
It's my pleasure. It was my pleasure meeting you at SPAC this summer. We were two strangers, stopping strangers, and we hit it off, and it was awesome.
I know. I'm glad to have you as a friend. This is fun because most of these podcasts are people I have not met in person, and we met and grooved and had fun, and I think of you when I hear Uncle John's band, and it's good to have the personal connection in addition to, you know, all of this technology way to connect.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is I met you at SPAC almost 31 years to the date where my adventure began.
Well, I want you to tell everyone about your adventure. I want to hear about your first story because we've talked a little bit about it, and it's an awesome story. And this podcast is sharing stories. So, take me back to the day.
Well, it's funny is before. So my first show was June 27th, 1985. On June 26th, 1985, I only knew two Grateful Dead songs, probably Casey Jones and Truckin'. And every day before that, I would actually make fun of the band. I'd be like, oh, Jerry probably needs to lean on the stool. He's so wasted. I gave them absolutely no credit. So it's really weird that before my very first show, I discredited them totally. But somehow a friend of mine talked me into going, I was living in New Jersey. He talked me into going up to Saratoga Springs Performing Arts Center, SPAC. And I said, you know what? I'll go with an open mind. If you really think that I'll have a good time, I'll go. So they brought me up to, SPAC. And I remember the second I got in the lot, I felt this energy that I've never felt before. I'm like, this is weird. And at this time, I had never tried LSD either. I said, you know what? I might as well just go all in. And I took my first hit of that. And I got into the venue, and the vibe got even stronger. And I'm like, there's something going on here. I just can't figure this out. And I'm sure the hallucinogenics had something to do with it. But there was something going on here, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then the music started. And immediately I envisioned, it was so weird. It's like everybody had a light switch on the back of their back. And all of a sudden, the second the band started playing, everybody's light switch went off. And all of a sudden, I knew immediately that the audience was feeding the band and the band was feeding the music and they were feeding each other. But I'm not totally sold yet. And I'm like, this is really trippy. I go, I've never experienced anything like this. And, the first two songs, I'm pretty sure every song on that show, I never heard before. But, I started toe tapping and starting to feel it, and then not ever seeing a show before, I didn't realize that basically they spoke. Bobby said one thing a show. We'll be right back after a short break. But for some reason, this crazy dude was hanging off the balcony. And, they spent it seemed like 5 minutes, time's weird, trying to talk this dude down. And I'm like, this is really weird. They're trying to talk a guy from hanging off the balcony down.
This is just normal shit, right? This just happens in these situations.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It happenstance. This is just happenstance, par for the course, right?
Yeah. I'm like, this is just so weird. But you know what? I'm totally not sold yet. Now the acid's kicking in, and all of a sudden, this is the moment everything changed for me. This was the turning point of my Grateful Dead career. And I've seen them 121 times with Jerry, then the final 5 without. And then this summer I saw one Dead and Company show. But this was the magical moment. I saw what looked like, I was 20 years old at the time. I saw what looked like, I was pretty sure, I'm being judgmental, a kid that was probably the high school quarterback. I looked from looking at him from his shoes. He had like really nice athletic shoes. He had gym shorts on. He was shirtless. He was, what we would call buffed. And he was skipping like a little girl. right through the lawn, just skipping like he didn't have a care in the world. And I'm like,
right.
If this band can do this to this dude, because I'm sure he doesn't act like this all the time. Maybe he does. I don't know. I go, I'm sold.
Right.
And then I just started grooving, and I started dancing, and every song was the best song. I fell in love with Birth of that show. I think it was like the first or second song. I fell in love with the whole thing, and I realized that this isn't about the music, really. It's about the group of people. To this day, I can't explain what it is that goes on at these shows, but the feeding of the band off the energy of the people and back and forth was amazing. And then the last thing I remember of the show, well, I remember the Johnny B. Good encore, but my friends were on the lawn, on the other side of the lawn, and I needed to get to them. They were like waving me over. And somehow, some way, dancing to the music, I went from point A to point B like some twirling, pixie, magical person, twisting and turning and bebopping through the lawn, and didn't hit one person, didn't hit one blanket, and then magically stuck a landing like an Olympic gymnast. And my friends were like, whoa, dude, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know, but you got to get me to the next show. And the next show was at Hershey, Pennsylvania the next day. And my friends were like, you're nuts, you can't get to the next show. And I couldn't get to the next show. But after that, I was sold, and I saw a bunch of shows in '85, and I just, from '85 to '95, I saw about 121 shows, and it was magical.
Wow.
It's still magical.
That's awesome. You twirled your way onto the bus. That's back. And
I was twisting and turning and dancing, and like I don't know what it was. Like I was possessed.
Well, SPAC is awesome, too. I mean, it was my first experience at SPAC, and we've talked at length. I mean, I'm a West Coast girl, and we'll talk about that next, the West Coast, because that's where your story and our journeys connect after the next song. But SPAC, I mean, really is that special, woodsy, outdoor, intimate. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, what an amazing place to kick off your experience, because it's kind of a magical little place out there in the woods.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I'm going to play some music from SPAC for everyone. I'm going to do two things. You had mentioned the balcony, and there was a clip from the balcony, and there's just nothing more fun than listening to an outtake clip. So we're going to do the clip of the balcony, and then we're going to go into Stagger, which we haven't played on the podcast. I'm always thrilled to put a new song on to mix up the catalog. So we're going to go into Saratoga Performing Arts Center on June 27th, 1985. Hey guy up in the balcony into Stagger Lee. So everybody enjoy the music, and then we are going to be back because Michael has so many amazing stories that I can't wait for everyone to hear. Enjoy.
Get back in, man. We don't want you falling on somebody else. You do it yourself to what you want, man. Lines, lucky dimes, couldn't stay on these days. Stagger, bad man, and he shot my pretty feet. I hope I forget him.
back. Now we are going to take our journey over to the West Coast. So Michael's going to tell us a little bit about the next leg of the journey.
Yeah, well, at the time, this was 1987, and I had already seen one West Coast show, a Chinese New Year show, and I noticed the vibe was a little bit different on the West Coast, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chill. But my mission at this point was to see what I thought the grand carnival of all shows was a New Year's Eve show. So a friend of mine and myself, he was like my tour buddy for all these years. We would fly out to weird places to go see a show. So this time we wanted to do the New Year's. We did mail order, and we got the first 3 shows, but we weren't able to score a New Year's ticket. But we said, you know what? Let's go do this. So in Newark Airport, we knew that we had to work hard to find a New Year's ticket. In Newark Airport, anytime we saw somebody with a tie-dye shirt, we'd ask them, I'm looking for a New Year's. I'm looking for a New Year's ticket.
Right. Start early, man. Just start filling the pipeline. Start early. That's the way to go.
People that weren't wearing tie-dyes would look at like, what is this guy asking for tickets for New Year's? This isn't for like another week, maybe 4 or 5 days, to go. And we asked everybody we saw, need a New Year's ticket, need a New Year's ticket. And we had no luck. And it is now New Year's Eve, about 3 p.m., and my friend realized that I got like lint in my pocket and like $30. And our flight leaves the next day. And I hear that tickets are going, for like $100, $150. Now, mind you, face value for a New Year's ticket in 1987 was $25. And it doesn't look like I'm going. But my friend was able to pull $200 off the Discover card. And he says, hey, man, if I can get a ticket, I'm going in. Are you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm like, we do 3,000 miles. One of us better get in.
Right.
So 4 o'clock comes around, not looking good. And, everybody's got their hand up to need a miracle. I go, this isn't happening. And I was talking to my friend about it. And somebody overheard the conversation and goes, hey, listen, I'm going to help you out. Now, at this point, I'd never been denied a show. And actually, I've never been denied a show. So kind of giving away the story here, but it's pretty good. This guy gives me a hit of ecstasy. And this was my first hit of ecstasy. I said, he goes, you try this? He goes, you won't even care if you're not getting in. I'm like, all right, whatever. And he was right. About an hour later, I did not care if I was getting in or not. I said, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the parking lot. I came out to California, I had a few good shows, and let's just move on. So I'm feeling pretty good. And this is when so that was dude number 1. Dude number 1 gave me the X and said, you won't care. Now we're about to meet dude number 2. And dude number 2 changed my life. And of course, being on X, I'm sure it was a little bit exaggerated, but it was a magical moment. I'm walking down the parking lot toward the Coliseum, and I see in front of me about 20 yards a very stoic, about 6'2", 6'3" guy, skinny, straight, long, dark hair, beard and mustache, and he stood in this one solid pose. Now imagine that you have your hands clasped together with both index fingers up to his mouth. I call it the double shush. And he just stayed there, and he wouldn't move. He wouldn't do anything. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I start walking past him like, I don't know, I don't want to look at him. And just as I hit my mark, one of his hands breaks away and taps me on the shoulder. And he says gently to me, excuse me, sir, do you have my ticket? I laughed at him. I go, no. I kept walking. I go, wait a second. Something's going on here. So I went back and I turned around. And I said to him, excuse me, sir, does that actually get you a ticket? He goes, no. I go, whoa, what does get you a ticket? And he said very gently, he goes, faith. Faith will get you a ticket. And my knees buckled. And I'm like, yes. Wow. Faith will get me a ticket. This guy's right. Faith will get me a ticket. So I walked about, I don't know, 10 yards, whatever, and the first dude I saw is, I tried to tap the guy on the shoulder, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you have my ticket?" And he says, he laughed at me, just like I laughed at that guy. He's like, "No, I don't have your ticket." And I said, "I don't care. Faith will get me a ticket." And then I might have asked one more person and got the same response. And then here comes dude number 3. Approaching me and my friend are about 4 older adults. So I'm 22. I'm figuring this guy must be around 50 or 40 or something like that. And one of the guys looked like a cross between Santa Claus and Jerry Garcia, but really white hair.
Right.
And I stopped him. And right in front of him, I go, "Excuse me, sir, do you have our tickets?" And he paused, and he goes, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." And he walked away. Now, wait a second. He paused. He's got our tickets. So I run up, and I run behind him, and I tug on his blue shirt. I'll never forget it. I tug on his blue shirt. And he stops, startled, and he turns around, and he looks at me, and I go, "Sir, do you have our tickets?" And he stopped and paused again, and he goes, "Yes, I do. I have your tickets." And my friend's like, "Oh, my God." I go, "How much do you want for them?" He goes, "I'm going to sell them to you at face value, but you have to promise me that you're not going to resell them." I promise. We flew 3,000 miles to come see here. Now it's like 10 to 7. It's like,
right.
you know,
showtime, man.
It's like, I can't believe it. Yes. And he sold us the two magical tickets for $25 a piece. And then some dude that witnessed the whole thing go down tried to bring us down and bum us out. And he goes, "Hey, man, at face value, those are probably fake because there's a lot of fake tickets going on."
There's
like,
one in every crowd. There's one in every crowd.
Oh, man. I looked at my friend. I said, "Well, my friend, there's only one way to find out. We need to head in." But we didn't want to go behind each other. Like synchronized swimmers, we got into the turnstiles, and, of course, the lovely ladies with the yellow jackets that say security, we timed it that we went to each turnstile at the same time. We wanted to both find out at the same exact time, are these tickets real or not?
Right.
And we walked up, and we each handed our tickets at the same time, and they put them under the scanner or did whatever they did. They tore it off, and they said, "Welcome to the show." And me and my friend probably looked quite silly, but people got it. Instantly, we're on the floor of the concourse, hugging each other, rolling around, saying, "We made it. We made it. We made it." And it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. So I decided at that point that I need to live in California. And magically, serendipitously, somebody called me up that I knew that lived in California, says, "Hey, you want to move to Sacramento? You can live here for free until you get a job in an apartment." I go, "I'm in." So the next New Year's, I got tickets for all the shows and the New Year's show, and I moved to California on December 26, 1988, and I saw the New Year's show. But before I got into the New Year's show, who did I run into? Santa Claus Jerry.
Wow.
And I was able to, it came back all around, and I was able to thank him, and he remembered me. And I said, "I promise you, we didn't sell the tickets. We made it in, and you made my life." And he was like, I'm glad I could help. And then it turned out that it was you know, back then it was pay-per-view, so they didn't have like webcast. But that show actually is a DVD called Tickets New Year's. I watched it over and over again so I could finally find myself, and I did for 2 seconds, my head bopping in the crowd. And it was just amazing. And that's how I ended up in California. And as we discussed, by living in Sacramento, I was able to see 21 to 26 shows a year, all within driving distance.
Yeah, no, it's just a whole different logistic out there. Well, I have to say, I want to play the song, and you know, I love this story, and you know, we have talked, and I love it, you know, hearing it again, and I'm so happy for everyone else to hear it, because it really is just a magical story. And what comes to mind when I'm listening to you tell the story is it's almost a biblical tale, you know. I mean, there's kind of a tongue-in-cheek saying about, you know, the Grateful Dead being a religion, and you know. which, you know, I think on a spiritual level, it is for us deadheads. I mean, it's not
Sure.
an organized religion, but it's a spirituality. And I swear that story with the three guys and the being turned away and back, I mean, you know, being a nice Jewish girl and hearing all of the Old Testament stories, I mean, that story is like Grateful Dead religion biblical tale, right? It's a there's that lesson there, and about just fate and going forward and life changing, and it's such a beautiful story.
The faith
Biblical story.
Just the way he just stood there so stoically and didn't move. I'm like, what is this guy's deal? And then I thought for sure he was going to say, yes, this gets me a ticket. But he says, no, that doesn't get me a ticket. Faith gets me a ticket.
Right.
And I think, honestly, if I was totally straight, my knees would have buckled the way he said it. He was so gentle the way he said, faith will get you a ticket.
Well, it's a life lesson that, you know, we have to all remember every day with everything, is having faith is what's going to take you to the next spot. And however you learn that lesson, you embrace it. And I'm sure it's, and again, being friends with you and talking to you about life and serendipity and things that matter and how to get through good things and bad things, you know, it is faith. And wherever you draw your faith from is what gets you through. So it's so totally cool to have just
but you really have to believe
story.
It.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing
absolutely.
about like if you believe that you are a certain person, or it has to be real. You can't fake faith. You can't.
Yeah.
You truly have to. I've never said it before, but you can't fake faith.
No, you're right. You're right. And again, to have a tangible story, to have like a, you know, ABC that like taught you that is, it's amazing, you know, because I think a lot of times, again, it's more abstract. So it's very visual and very, it's just awesome. Well, I'm going to go play a song from this concert because I think everybody is now wanting to hear a little sample. You sent me the video with the Aiko and the When Men Are Smart, Women Are Smarter. So I did get to see you bopping around. Now, I am not very talented with my skills with my video MP3s. And in fact, it's something that, as we've discussed, I am working on. So I am going to play for our listeners the Aiko, because that's just such a fun song. It's such a happy song. And I think we need a little dance. It's a beat bopper. We need to go into something that is just jazzy and fun. So everyone listening, we are now going to play from New Year's Eve, which is obviously December 31st, 1987, going into 1988. Aiko from the Oakland Coliseum. So everybody enjoy, and we are going to be back with one more or two more stories from Michael. All right, enjoy. listening to Aiko Aiko from New Year's Eve 1987 into 98. Yay, so fun. So we have some more stories to tell. Michael has a very rich fabric of stories. So I want you to tell me, what's the next chapter? What happened after 88?
Well, I moved to California. I moved to Sacramento, and we've discussed this. I realized that, and I don't know how, but magically, somebody that I knew that moved to California invited me to live there rent-free until I get a job in an apartment. And I said, I'm there. Because if I'm in Sacramento, I can see like 21 to 26 shows a year, and all within driving distance. So I did. So I spent from 88 to 95 seeing shows. But early, maybe 93, 94, I kind of almost had one foot out the door. I was becoming a responsible adult, and I had like a full-time job, and I was a nightclub disc jockey. And Jerry's health was just not looking good, and I was hearing stories about East Coast shows and gate crashers. So 94, 95, I pretty much started cutting down and didn't see my regular 21 to 26 shows a year. But my very last show was June 4th, 1995, and it was at Shoreline, and the very last song I heard was Broke Down Palace.
Wow.
And, and
that's beautiful.
Then Jerry died. And I've never really idolized anybody. And, a lot of my friends would be like, oh, you must be taking it rough. And I'm like, no. I mean, you gave us a gift, and it's time to move on. I went out to the memorial out at Golden Gate Park, and that was really special. That was a great gathering. But I decided at that point that I'm done with concerts like this. Like, I think Fish was up and running at this time, and String Cheese Incident, and whatever these bands are, people were trying to say, well, if you like the Grateful Dead, you'll love these guys. And I'm like, no, I'm done. And I focused on my career. And after being a disc jockey, I'm like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I can't spin records for the rest of my life. So I got into restaurant management, and I ended up being a proprietor for Outback Steakhouse. And I lived my life without the Grateful Dead. And I just wrapped it up tightly. And I knew there was other incarnations. There was the Dead, there was Further, there was Rat Dog. And I knew myself that if I were to go to any of these shows, I would just compare it to the Dead. I'd be like, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to break this package that I had. I just wanted to keep it wrapped up.
You had a little box of Rain, right? A little box of Rain with a ribbon for your hair that was in your closet that was waiting for you. That was all.
And nobody could take it away from me, and nobody.
Yeah,
and nobody would. But I just know myself, and I know I'll be like, but this isn't the same, because with Jerry, it was the package. I can't explain it. So, so I was done until that fateful day, Friday, January 16th, 2015. Trixie announced that the Grateful Dead, quote unquote, are going to come back and do 5 more shows. I think they just announced the Chicago shows.
Yeah, they were for Chicago.
And then they announced the Levi Stadium. And I said, I'm going. I'm in. Like, I didn't even know about mail order. I didn't know nothing. The next day, that Saturday, I booked my flight, non-refundable, got my hotel, and told my buddies, we're going. These are the same touring buddies that I saw the very first show with at SPAC. Right. I said, we're going to Chicago. He's like, how are we getting
Fate has showed her face again. Fate had showed up right at the right time for you, right? You gotta follow that North Star.
And I was like, he's like, so how are we getting tickets? I'm like, I don't know. That's irrelevant to me. Like it's like there's just like you can't take the faith. I'm like, I'm going. We're going. It's just no question about it. So one of my friends was kind enough to do all the mail order stuff and do the lottery. And then the countdown began. He'd text me every day, no mail, no mail, no mail. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if we get rejected. We're going, or I'm going. And they didn't buy their tickets yet, their plane tickets in the hotel. They weren't that stupid. But, I knew I was going anyway. And then we got the mail orders. we got them. And people were asking me, it's like, what if we don't get the mail order? I go, that's irrelevant. I'm going.
You'll go and you'll figure it out. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, it was beyond faith at this point.
On. Yeah, no, it's a journey and it's on. Like you're on it.
And then we got the tickets for that, and then they announced Levi, and I got those through CID. I paid a little bit extra, but I had to go. And I'm living in Seattle at the time, and I booked a train. For some reason, instead of flying, it was cheaper to take a train. And the first show at Levi Stadium was June 27th, 2015. 30 years to the day of my very first show. I'm going back to see them one last run.
Wow. And there is some serendipity there, right? I mean, you just can't, I mean, there is those dates. I mean, it's the full circleness of it is so cool. No, it's just the coolest stuff. Absolutely.
And the whole time I didn't realize that the band started when I started life. I was born in 1965. They started in 1965. So before the show, I got a tattoo on my forearm, and it says MS, my initials, the number 50, and then GD under that. And inside the 0 of the 50 is the 13-pointed lightning bolt with the red and blue.
Right.
And that's when I realized that, wow, I'm as old as the band. And went to Levi Stadium. And I didn't tell you this part about this yet, but this is really crazy. So I went by myself. Now I'm disabled at this point, and I have a motor scooter. And the first night it died, and I was stuck out in the middle of Santa Clara till 4 o'clock in the morning. And the last night, I think I had a little bit too much fun, and I get back to my hotel, and I realize I lost my wallet. My wallet's gone.
Wow. And you're traveling. You need your wallet.
And I'm getting on a plane in a couple of days to fly to Chicago.
Right.
And I have nothing. And 3 o'clock in the morning, I started crying. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. I just lost my wallet in Levi Stadium amongst 70,000 people. What the F am I going to do? So luckily, a friend of mine I was able to contact wired me some money to Western Union. And my Uber, like a dummy, well, not really dummy, I canceled my card, my bank card, just in case somebody got a hold of it. But magically, it was still active on my Uber account.
Okay.
So I met this guy named John. John is the Uber driver. And John is taking me to the Western Union so I can get my money. And he sees that I'm disabled, and he sees that things aren't going well for me, and I told him the story, what happened. And he takes me to the Western Union, and he drops me off. And I go inside the Western Union, and I get the couple $100 that my friend sends me. And then all of a sudden, John walks back in. He goes, hey, I'm supposed to go back to my other job, but I'm not. I go, what are you going to do? He's like, we're going to go get your wallet. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, I've been on the phone with Levi Stadium all morning. They're saying I have to fill out a form. You know, you're crazy. You know, there's a process. And he goes, I'm taking you there. I go, he goes, what do you have to lose? I go, I guess I have nothing to lose. He goes, let's go down to Levi Stadium. And on his dime, he drives me down to Levi Stadium. And I get out, and I find a security guard. It's the next day. And I said, lost and found? He's like, you got it, blah, 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 blah. I go, I've been to the phone calls. I go, you don't understand. I lost my wallet. I go, is there like an employee entrance or somebody else I could talk to? And he goes, yeah, good luck, but the employee entrance is down there. So I go down to the employee entrance, and John waits in his Uber car. And I walk in, and I see the security guard, and I know this is not going to go well. And I said to the guy, I go, listen, I've been on the phone. I know all the hoops I got to jump through. I go, but you're my last hope. I lost my wallet. And he laughs. He goes, last night you lost your wallet here, and you want to see if we have it. I go, yeah. And he makes me give him the description of the wallet and what my ID says and blah, blah, blah. And he gets on the phone, and he says, Lisa, or is this her mother? So it looks like in this office, like it's just run by Lisa or her mother, you know. And he
Right.
goes, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I got this gentleman here that needs looking for a wallet. And he gives the description, and he writes it down. And I sit down with my head hung low, and I'm like, oh, my goodness. And then all of a sudden, like this girl just won the lottery, I hear from a hallway all the way down, some girl running, waving my wallet in the air, saying, I got it, I got your wallet. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. 70,000 people, somebody turned my wallet in.
Wow.
And all because of Johnny Uber.
Johnny
He
Uber.
insisted on coming back. And I got a picture with him. I got a picture with me and my wallet.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
I don't understand how these things happen to me. And I went, and my card was canceled, but the cash came in. And everything worked out
When
fine. I had my
ID,
ID.
you're ready to travel. Yeah, I mean, the ID is, that's everything. If you're getting on an airplane, you have to have that.
Yeah, that's what I also learned, that being disabled and traveling by yourself and taking shrooms, those three things don't mix well.
Well, everything
But,
is aligned, right? And it all worked out. So again, all part of the journey, Maybe you do it a little different next time, but it all works out, and I'm enjoying the story. And again, there's nothing like a good "Are You Kind" story, I mean, John, obviously, and it doesn't really matter what music you listen to, or again, if you're part of the Deadhead family, it's just about being kind. And when you're a kind person and kind things happen, it's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it turns out his other job was transporting sick people. So
well, there you go.
he
Yeah.
empathized, and he knew what I was going through. He knew that I had disabilities, and he knew things weren't going well for me, and he didn't give up on me. And I gave up on myself. I thought to myself, I'm not getting this wallet back, but he believed I would.
Well, and fate joins the story again, right? Fate comes in. Fate comes in on the way out, and fate joined right up with you, arm in arm, while you were out there in Santa Clara. So that is awesome. Well, I want to play a song from Santa Clara. I want to play, you selected Cumberland Blues. So we are going to play the and this is, I think, the first Fare Thee Well song I've played on the podcast. I've done some Dead and Company and some Further and Jerry Garcia Band and obviously lots of Grateful Dead. But this is the first from the Fare Thee Well with Trey playing. So I'm always excited to mix it up and just play different incarnations, and excited to see, as the podcast goes on, what I play. And, I'm even into, I've been seeing so many amazing cover bands of music. I'm hoping to get some of their music on. So, I mean, it's, again, community, everything. So Cumberland Blues, and remind, this is on June 27th, 2015. Yes?
Yep, 30 years to the day.
30 years to the day. All right, everybody, enjoy some Cumberland Blues, and then we are going to come back and do a little sign-off.
Tell Some old fellas may have been at home, and you can hear him cry. Can I go back? Can I go down there? Take your ship down the line. Gotta get down to the Cumberland mine. Gotta get down to the Cumberland mine. That's where I'm gonna spend my time.
From Levi Stadium, and we're just going to say goodbye. We're going to do a little sign-off, and thank you so much, Michael. I mean, again, so we're over the phone. I love doing the in-persons, but I can kind of visualize sitting there on the lawn with you at SPAC. So while we're not together, I feel like we are.
Absolutely, and I have to, like, you know, we talked about serendipity and how we just ran into each other, you know, at SPAC. And then I learned about, you know, I have 2 of your magnets on my refrigerator, so I get reminded of you all the time. But this opportunity that you gave me to relive some of my stories, and there's tons more, but these are probably the more special ones. It just means so much to me that you let me relive these stories and share them with people. Like you said, it's like a digital scrapbook for me, and I can't thank you enough for letting me share my stories with you and your listeners. And life is magical, and as long as we be kind to everybody, everything's gonna be fine. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. No, thank you. This has been it's awesome for me. I mean, you know, deciding in my 40s to just jump into the conversation so that I can meet amazing people like you, and what a world we live in, to just decide I want to meet people and I want to hear their stories and I want to share their stories, and then to get to, you know, meet people like you. And we talked briefly, my last guest, Ian, who's 17 years old. I mean, the fabric of the quilt of the family is so varied, and thank you. I mean, it's all really meaningful to me. So I wouldn't be able to share stories without stories of people like, you know, yours and the music. So, I mean,
well,
I don't know.
I'm signed up to your podcast, and I'm looking forward to the next one and the next one, and I can't wait to relive other people's stories, and it's wonderful. It's all about the storytelling.
Absolutely, it's all about the community, like you started off with. You know, we'll end with full circle. I mean, a band beyond description. What other band you go see, and that visual you gave of everybody's light switch going on? I mean, it's the music, but it's more than that. It's the energy, it's the sharing of the energy, it's the crowd, it's the people, it's the common love, goal, cool serendipitous things that happen while you're there. I mean, it's everything. And I think everyone who's hearing your stories today are smiling, and they're recalling their own crazy stories of their fate and what happened, and they're different stories, but I bet that flavor is is strong out there with everyone's with their journeys. So I'm sure your stories are bringing up a lot of memories for our listeners, and anyone who's listening, feel free to comment or email and get on the podcast. This is for everyone. So there we go.
The band beyond description, my friend.
Beyond description. Well, Michael, I'm going to say goodbye on the podcast, but not goodbye in general, because we're friends. And until next time. All right, man.
All right, friends.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.
In the world's played tea for two. Sky was yellow and the sun was blue. Strangers stopping strangers just to shake the hand.